Angels. Represented in various forms across different civilizations, angels are typically seen as divine or supernatural messengers, guardians, and intermediaries between the divine and human realms. The concept goes as far back as Mesopotamian times, where beings that resembled angels, the apocryphal, were considered to be wise sages and spiritual protectors. However, it wasn't until the rise of the Abrahamic religions did the notion of angels become more prominent. Angels would become known for being the messengers of God, often described as carrying out his divine will. In the Bible, there are many examples of angels actually interacting with men and women, either intervening to stop them from doing something they'll regret, or to provide guidance and support. In that sense, it's easy to see why so many have come to praise the angels and to feel a sense of safety with such creatures that are essentially an extension of God. Generally, it's believed that these angels do not possess free will in the way that we do, but if we were to consult some apocryphal works, we get some ideas of angels that can and do act on their impulses, resulting in angels that do some rather terrible things. Just like humanity though, it would appear that according to these narratives, a similar method of dealing with crime and punishment existed for these types of angels, and that included prison. A prison known as Dudael. The drama first unfolds in the Book of Enoch, which takes place shortly before the events of the biblical flood in Noah's time. In short, angels known as Watchers descended upon the mortal women on earth and had their way with them. This led to the women giving birth not to human angel hybrids, but instead monstrous creatures that would become known as the Nephilim. During this time, these fallen angels, most notably the Watcher Azazel, would teach humanity forbidden magic and open their eyes to warfare and the making of weapons. When God became aware of what these angels had done upon the earth, he sent his archangels to apprehend the Watchers, with Azazel and his cohorts being shown no mercy. We are told in chapter 10 of the Book of Enoch, "And the Lord said to the archangel Raphael, Bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert, which is in Dudael, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face, so that he may not see light. And on the day of the great judgment, he shall be cast into the fire." With this explanation, it is implied that the Dudael is the prison of all fallen angels, especially the Watchers, something we later see elaborated on in the Book of Enoch. Some scholars believe that this underground prison is somewhat east of Jerusalem, quite literally in the desert, which is where Raphael creates an opening to cast down Azazel and his peers. It's unfortunate that, considering this is the first mention of Dudael in the Book of Enoch, that the original author did not go into more detail as to what this place was, or how it was different from, say, hell. Yet we can gather from the imagery of rough, jagged rocks and complete darkness that this could very well have been some kind of region of the underworld, like Gehenna or Tartarus. In some ways, one might compare the Dudael to something like being on death row, where the inmate, in this example Azazel, is placed into a detention area where he will await his very own end. The only difference is that the angels here aren't only waiting for the end of their lives, but also the end of all times, the day of great judgment, where they will be cast into the great fires and incinerated. Until then, they are, according to believers, essentially still there now, in the deepest parts underneath the desert, chained in darkness and left to suffer. In subsequent chapters, we do see these prisons elaborated on, where Enoch embarks on a journey through the cosmos with the archangel Uriel. When Uriel escorts Enoch to a desolate land, we are told, "Here shall stand the angels who have connected themselves with women, and their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind, and shall lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. Here shall they stand, till the day of great judgment, in which they shall be judged till they are made an end of." In this, we understand the Watchers and any other angel who has ever fornicated with a mortal woman or caused mischief upon the mortals will end up here in this barren land, and that they will remain here to be judged, just as man will be in the end times. You might say that by Uriel's words, man and angel are held to the same standard, and though angels are thought to set better examples and be representations of the divine, they are not exempt from suffering the same fate as us, should they transgress against the Lord. By suggesting that fallen angels are eligible for suffering in the end times, the Enochian legend provides a new perspective for angels that isn't touched upon in the Bible. The angels here are not pinnacles of perfection, and whilst they are ranked higher than men in their closeness to God, they are not flawless and certainly appear to possess free will in the same way we do. In chapter 21, we see these things take an even more brutal turn for the fallen angels, as Enoch and Uriel venture further into the prisons. Enoch tells us, "And I proceeded to where things were chaotic, and I saw there something horrible. I saw neither a heaven above, nor a firmly founded earth, but a place chaotic and horrible. And here I saw 7 stars of the heaven bound together in it, like great mountains and burning with fire." Here Enoch tells us that he sees 7 stars of heaven, or 7 of the angels by some interpretations, and that these 7 were bound together and burning with fire. Whilst from the outside this looked like a barren place with no life to speak of, we get a glimpse of what things are really like for those imprisoned here, and how they are not only trapped to one another, but constantly set on fire too. Enoch inquires as to why there are angels here, and what have these creatures done to deserve such a punishment? And Uriel turns to him and replies, "Enoch, why dost thou ask, and why art thou eager for the truth? These are the number of the stars of heaven, which transgress the commandment of the Lord, and are bound here till 10,000 years. The time entailed by their sins are consummated." By Uriel's words, it might be said that these 7 angels seen bound and burning may have just been another set of fallen angels, for unlike the Watchers, who are bound until the end times, these beings have a limited sentence of 10,000 years of suffering. There's an idea here that if these are angels, they were only being taught a lesson, a harsh one at that. The nature of these angels' transgressions is not revealed, though one might say it was certainly something significant, since it warranted 10,000 years of burning. Enoch then tells us that he was taken to another place, perhaps further into the prison, and that it was much more horrible than the former place. He tells us that here there was a great fire which burned and blazed, and there were columns of flames that were so large and tall that he could not see where they ended. Enoch demonstrates fear here, referring to this as the most horrible and terrible place that he's been to so far, and whilst he does not comment on it, witnessing the burning of angels may have triggered some existential regret and panic, in that if God was willing to allow this to happen to his angels, those who were closest to him and divine in nature, then his punishment for mankind may have been even more gruesome. He even expresses his fear to Uriel, telling him of how fearful this place is. Whilst Uriel does not seem to resonate with Enoch's anxiety, he does perhaps understand it on some level, as he seeks to reassure him with the facts by telling him that this is where the fallen angels end up. With this statement, along with Uriel's nonchalant manner, it might be said that Uriel was telling Enoch that he needn't have such fear, because this was not the same suffering that mankind can expect, given that we would not have the same tolerance for such torture. Whilst not exactly the most comforting thing to hear, it may have put the idea of punishment into perspective for Enoch, and perhaps scared him even more straight. By understanding the extremities of suffering, it might be said that Enoch was then well equipped and more determined to save not only himself, but also his fellow man, for he would not have wished anyone to experience the things he had seen here. As always guys, if you've enjoyed today's episode, then don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more content just like this. Until next time.